On February 28th, the U.S. Postal Service will be releasing this collection of stamps featuring one of the most important quilts in American history. Here's what you need to know. Let me introduce you to the maker of this quilt, Harriet Powers. Harriet was born into slavery in Athens, Georgia in 1834. And we don't really know much about her early life, but we do know that it was common for enslaved women to learn how to sew in order to create clothing and home goods for themselves and for plantation owners. We also know that she got married around age 19, had 9 children, and then eventually returned to quilting in her 40s. This is Harriet's first quilt that we know of. It features a bunch of biblical scenes and is aptly titled Bible Quilt. Harriet displayed this at the Clark County Fair in 1886 and caught the attention of various quilt lovers who commissioned her to create another quilt in 1895. Here's that second quilt, which she titled Pictorial Quilt. Now, in this day and age, pictorial quilts are more common, but this was very ahead of its time, at least in the US. Most popular American quilting designs of this era featured botanical designs and abstract patterns, but Harriet's quilts were different. They told stories. And the stories that Harriet chose to tell with her quilts are really interesting and offer a lot of insight into the inner lives and spirituality of African Americans during this time period. For example, over here we have the biblical story of the creation of animals, but up in the top right we have an account of an actual meteorological event that happened in 1833. Basically, there was a meteor shower and it caused mass hysteria. People thought the world was ending. Harriet's inclusion of this event and other kind of natural events in her quilt shows that she connected them to God and spirituality. Another reason that Harriet's quilts are considered very historically significant are because they represent a blend of West African and European quilting techniques. This banner over here is an example of the traditional fabric banners created in West Africa by the Fawn people for hundreds of years. And then, of course, this here is one of Harriet's quilts. You can see the similarities in style. Now, it's not known if Harriet was descended from this particular ethnic group, but nonetheless, Harriet's quilting style is thought to represent the ways that enslaved Africans preserved their culture through art. Here's a tribute quilt to Harriet made by Dr. Carolyn Mazlumi in 2024. I love that she included the designs on her skirt and even has her holding one of her quilt blocks. Now, I wish that Harriet had been more celebrated during her lifetime, and I also wish that more than just 2 of her quilts had survived to the present day. But hopefully next time you step into a post office and perhaps see these stamps, you're reminded of this groundbreaking artist who used a needle and thread to express herself, her intellect, and her spirituality.